How you doing, YouTube? This is SageSurvival, and I was with my son earlier today, and we had gone to a duck pond, right down the street. And I noticed one thing that was in this duck pond. There was a lot of snails. Now I go here, and sometimes I do a little frog gigging, or try to catch a fish or two, just to hone in some skills and practice some primitive technologies. But I'd always seen these snails and never really knew what they were. Come to find out, they are Japanese trapdoor water snails. Now, I didn't know if these were edible or not, and I'm telling you, there's an overabundance of them there. So, did a little research, and although there's not too many people who talk about eating them, found one or two that happened to actually be from Japan, and these people were saying that they did eat them. They prefer the sea ones better than the freshwater ones, because they're normally found in like dirty ponds and things like that, hence the duck pond. Now, it's an invasive species. They're like all over the place, and it doesn't have a natural predator here. So I decided, what would be an awesome idea is to see if they are edible, and then to actually find a way to cook them and eat them and see if they are good, to know that if something ever does happen and I need an abundance of food, I can go to this duck pond and not only find the frogs and find the fish, but also capitalize on all of these little snails. So what I'm going to do is show you the different processes I'm going through. Now, granted, in a survival situation, I wouldn't be doing it in a kitchen. All right, but first time doing this, so I want to have a controlled environment, and then we're going to go from there. All right. Stay tuned. Now, as you can see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these little trapdoor snails, and they are decent size. Probably about the size of a golf ball or so. I don't have too many of them, but I didn't want to grab a whole bunch of them and then come to find out you couldn't eat them and have nowhere to put them. So basically what I'm going to do, starting with my process, is I'm going to wash them, get all the bacteria, algae, and everything off the shell, and then I'm going to soak them for a little bit. So I've got a strainer right here in the sink. I'm going to just pour them in there, just like so. I'm going to give them a good scrubbing. Now, I want to be thorough, so I'm going to have to use both hands. So I will have to put this camera down, and I'm going to wash my snail shells. So what I'm really doing is just hand washing them, not scrubbing them. I don't have an appropriate scrubber here. Just, trying to get some of that outside stuff off. Just using my thumb, trying to get in all the crevices and the cracks and all that good stuff. So, once I get them all cleaned, I'm going to go through and try to figure out which ones are alive and which ones are dead. Granted, I think they're all alive, but you can never be too sure. Now, I'd hate to cook them and then be dead, and then me get some kind of nasty virus or bacterial fungus in my gut or something like that. I don't know what these things are capable of. Never had them before. But I'm definitely going to give them a try. So while I'm letting them soak in the water, once I've got them cleaned, I'm going to see if I see any of them, exit their shells. All the ones I can get to exit them shells, I will be putting them off into a different container, so I know that they are alive and kicking, and get them ready to be boiled and eaten. So I'm going to finish up these ones that I have left, and then we'll go on to the preparation with the water and boiling process. Alright? Y'all stay tuned now. So I have soaked them and repeated the process a couple of different times, so it's been probably about an hour since I washed them. I only found one that hadn't come out of its shell in that time, so I do believe that bad boy is no longer with us, unless he's really good at playing dead, which if that's the case, then he outsmarted me. But the only thing I can assume as far as the way these things are going to taste is like if you've ever had cattails out of a pond. You know, if you have them raw, just pull them right out and you eat the stalks. It kind of has it tastes like the way the pond smells, if that makes any sense. If anybody's ever been to a duck pond or something like that, it has a stagnant smell to it. So I have a funny suspicion that's how these are going to taste. Now, I know escargot, they butter them and use garlic and all that stuff like that. I think I'm just going to have them raw, or not raw, unseasoned, el natural. Being as that I'm believing in a survival situation, I wouldn't have the luxury of having some butter and garlic with me unless I found wild garlic or wild onions or something like that. You know, this is just an experiment, and if they are good, then maybe I'll make another video of how to make a gourmet Japanese trapdoor snail delicacy. But until then, I think it's just gonna be nasty snails. So, alright, I'm going to let them soak a little bit longer, and then I'm going to get a rolling boil, and I'm going to put them in for about 5 minutes and see where we go from there. Alright, y'all stay tuned now, you hear? Alright, as you can see, we have a rolling boil, and we have our Japanese trapdoor snails. So, let's go ahead and start putting them in. Alright. And I'm going to set the timer for about 5 minutes, and we'll see what happens from there. Alright. Y'all stay tuned. Alright, YouTube. So they've been in the water for about 8 minutes. I went a little bit longer than I said I was going to with the whole 5 minutes, but I'd rather be safe than sorry, considering I've never boiled snails before. But they are seeming to float, and so, you know, I've worked in the restaurant business before, and when the fries start floating, they're done. So, you know what? Hell, let's go ahead and assume that the snails are done also. So we're going to take them off the heat and bring them over to the sink. Oh, the steam's getting in the way. And they actually don't smell that bad. Almost appetizing. So what I'm going to do now is just let them cool for a little bit, and then I'm going to try to pick them out of their shells and de-gut them, and I guess eat them. So we'll go from there. Y'all stay tuned. So how are we doing, YouTube? So a couple of these, the trapdoor that actually holds onto slides right on the shell like that, they just kind of popped right off because of the boiling process, which is pretty awesome. But then what I realized is the snails are now pulled up inside the shell, and it's kind of difficult to get them out. Some of them are just sliding right out, and some are staying in there, just like this one. So I'm pulling on it, and it comes apart. So I'm going to have to break all the shells to get them all out. Now, if you hear that sound hitting the sink, those are the little baby snails that were inside this bad boy. Now, my son wanted me to keep a shell for him, so I have to make sure one's intact. So this one actually helped me out because it just came right out on its own. And I don't really know what snail guts look like, so if it doesn't look like it's tissue and meat, I'm tossing it. So far there's 2 down, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more to go. So instead of you sitting there and watching me do this whole dang time, I'm going to go ahead and do these off camera and get them out the way and prepared, and then we'll go from there and see how they taste. Alright, y'all stay tuned. Well, YouTube, that is the finished product. Doesn't look very appetizing, does it? and the smell is pretty much the same. It smells like pond water. So, but I did it for a purpose. My pain will be your knowledge. You'll know if you can eat them or if they actually taste good or not. And if anything, at least you get a laugh and a little, gag factor out of it, and just watch me devour some snails. So I'm going to move to a different camera view, and we're going to eat some snails. So you stay tuned. Alright, YouTube. Here it goes. As you can see, it's the same snot ball that I was dealing with just a second ago. I didn't change anything. Things I do for knowledge. Alright. Here goes nothing. Here's, oop, slimy still. Here's the first one. This is actually what part of this? This is the part that holds the trapdoor, the front of it. Alright. Here we go. Kind of gummy. It actually tastes like oysters, raw oysters. It has that no flavor, if that makes any sense. Alright, let's try a different body part, one of the more slimier ones. Alright, this is the part that hooks inside the shell itself, that holds the shell to the snail. Alright, let's see how this tastes. Okay, that one was a little worse. The taste was the same. It was just gritty still, and definitely tastes like pond water. But otherwise, it was edible, and I didn't throw up or anything. So it was definitely. Let me just rinse some of that sand out of my mouth. I can taste it. All right. Here's another one of those trapdoor holder pieces. Oh, really not that bad. I wouldn't call them a delicacy, but don't know what that was. Didn't go down, but all right. Well, that just goes to show. You can eat Japanese trapdoor snails out of a pond. So if you ever need any survival food and you're near a open body of water and you happen to find those type of snails in there, which are pretty common up here where I'm living in Connecticut, grab you a handful of them, boil them up, and see what you can do with them. I might actually throw them into something else, maybe some like some spaghetti sauce, something like that. Make it up with maybe some noodles. I'm not sure. I may even stir fry them. I'm thinking maybe some rice. So, all right. Well, glad y'all were watching. Glad I didn't die. So, stay tuned to some more videos, YouTube. And please, definitely like and vote and subscribe and comment and tell me what you thought. This is my actual first video putting on YouTube, and there'll be many more to come. Tell me if I could have done something better. All your critiques are going to be taken into account. All right? Y'all stay tuned for the next installment of Backyard Survival with SageSurvival. All right, y'all.